I was at an AA meeting this morning, and there was a woman that shared, and the topic was ego. And so I've got an ego, and I think we all have egos. The ego is there to protect, and my ego protects me, but a lot of times my ego gets in the way as well. So I shared this story this morning. I was at a dog park, and I have two dogs, Wayne and Betty, little Aussie doodles. And Wayne's the older one, and Betty is a couple years younger. She's still a puppy. She's 2 years old, and she gets a little snippy towards people, and she's kind of a little bit of a handful, and she snaps at Wayne, and she snaps at other dogs occasionally too. And so there was this guy that was at the dog park, and it was early in the morning. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. So it was just this other guy was there. I showed up with Wayne and Betty, and Betty wants to play. And so she was kind of jumping on the guy. And then I walked over here, and then Betty started to walk up towards the other dog, and she wanted to play. I think she wanted to play, but that dog apparently is bite certified. And because that dog is bite certified, he didn't like the way that Betty was treating her owner. So they're in a fight. And this guy was like, man, my dog is bite certified. My dog's not going to back off. And my dog is just there to protect me because your dog was coming after me. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that's ridiculous. Betty's just playing. And so my ego tells me that I'm right and this guy is wrong. And my ego tells me that this guy's being an idiot. And my ego tells me that I want to make this guy look bad. And none of those things are going to help me. None of those things are going to help me. I was able to pause when agitated or doubtful. I was able to pause. I didn't respond. I kind of just kept to myself, and I kept Wayne and Betty by my side. And then I walked away and I left. And then I start looking on ChatGPT because I want to research this bite. I don't know anything about being bite certified. And after my research, I realized that this guy is supposed to call his dog off. So now I have ammunition. I'm ready to go back to this guy and tell him that I'm right. Tell him that he's wrong. Tell him that he's an idiot. And of course, I think that's going to make me feel better, but that's definitely not going to make me feel better. It's not going to make me right, and it's not going to help the situation. I'm not going to feel better. And so really the conclusion I came to was, if and when I see this guy again, it's hey man, I think we got off on the wrong foot last time. And, I'm sorry if Betty came after you or came after your dog, and can we, figure out how to just be on the same page here so we can all enjoy the dog park together. So I feel much better about that, and being in recovery and being part of a program, that's the only way that I come to that conclusion. Because if I'm left to my own devices and I let my ego take charge, then things don't turn out good. And actually, I got another story I can share. There's a guy that I know. He's an acquaintance. He's a guy that's done some work for us. And this guy is he's been in and out of recovery, and he has a huge ego. Good guy, but he's got an ego, and the ego comes out occasionally, sometimes more often than not. His ego has come out with me, actually. And he was at a Home Depot parking lot, driving through the Home Depot parking lot, and somehow he ended up in an altercation with a guy that was driving the way that he didn't appreciate or something. So he gets out of the car and he starts walking towards this guy, and he's kind of a big guy. He's kind of big. He's all tatted up, can look kind of scary looking. And the guy in the car reaches over, he grabs a gun, and he shoots this guy 4 times. And it's so sad. It's so sad. And I just think, you never know You never know who's out there. You never know. And it's like road rage is not worth it. And getting into an altercation with somebody is just not worth it, because you don't know who has a gun. You don't know what potentially could happen. And it's always, in my experience, better to pause when agitated or doubtful, play the tape forward. I don't need to be right. And I don't need to be a tough guy either. I'm not a tough guy. I just, I want to be happy. I want to be happy, joyous, and free, and live in the principles, and all my affairs are going to help me get there.